The first step to long division, to figure out the first term in your answer, divide your first term by your first term in your divisor. So 3x squared divided by x. Using the quotient rule, you subtract the exponents. So that would give us 3x for the first term in our answer. The next step, take 3x and multiply it times your entire divisor. When you use the distributive property, 3x times x gives us 3x squared, and 3x times negative 2 gives us negative 6x. Now think back when you are dividing numbers. At this stage in the long division, you would subtract your numbers. You do the same thing here when you're subtracting polynomials. The signs will actually change to the opposite signs in the second polynomial. So the 3x squareds cancel out. And when we combine our x's, we get 13x. Now bring down the last term and start the process over. Again, you take your first term and divide it by your first term in your divisor to get the next part of your answer. So 13x all over x is just 13. The next step, take 13 and multiply it times your original divisor. So 13 times x is 13x. And 13 times negative 2 is negative 26. Again, at this stage in the problem, you subtract your numbers, but here we're subtracting polynomials. So the second polynomial, their signs will change to the opposite signs. So this will become a negative sign, and that will become a plus sign. The 13x's cancel, and we're left with a remainder of 15. If you're left with a remainder other than 0, then this is how you write your remainder. Part of our answer is 3x plus 13. And you take your remainder and put it over your original divisor. So that would be our final answer. Let's look at another example, polynomial long division. Whoops, hang on just a second. Let me make a new page here. Okay, we have the problem x squared plus 3x minus 88. We're dividing that by x plus 11. The first step, set it up as a long division problem if it's not already set up for you. To get the first term in our answer, you take your first term underneath the house and divide it by the first term in your divisor, excuse me. So that would give us, when we use the quotient rule and subtract the exponents, that will give us x for the first part of our answer. You take x and multiply it times your entire divisor. So x times x is x squared. And x times 11 gives us positive 11x. Now, when you get to this point, you're subtracting your numbers, but here we're subtracting our polynomials. And when you subtract the polynomials, the second polynomial signs turn to their opposite signs. So this will become negative x squared, and this will be a negative 11x. Now the x squareds cancel out, and when you combine your x's, you get negative 8x. Bring down the next term and start the process over. So we'll take our first term here and divide it by your first term in your divisor. So negative 8x times x, the x's cancel, leaving us with just negative 8. The next step, you take negative 8 and multiply it times the entire divisor. So when we distribute or multiply negative 8 times the entire divisor, we get down here negative 8x minus 88. Oh, and let me correct myself. Under the under the long division sign, that should be negative 88 at the end. So I apologize for that mistake. Now, when we're subtracting two polynomials, the signs of the second polynomial change to their opposite signs. So this will become a positive 8x, and that will become a positive 88. And actually, everything cancels out, and you get a remainder of 0. Whenever you get a remainder of 0, you don't have to express your remainder or put your remainder over your divisor. In this case, our final answer is just x minus 8.